Sophie Cunningham went nuclear about what happened to Caitlin Clark on June 24. She went on her podcast and told us exactly what she would have done if she'd seen it in real time. That alone should tell you where this story is going. Thomas punched Clark in the throat, kneed her in the groin, and walked away clean because the refs watched every bit of it and called nothing, and Cunningham's response to finding out was the kind of reaction the league absolutely did not want going public right now. Sophie said exactly what every fan was already screaming about Alyssa Thomas, about the Phoenix Mercury, and about the WNBA's officiating crew, and she did not hold back one word of it. Drop a comment below. What should the actual punishment have been, and should the refs from June 24 face any consequences at all?
During real time last night, I did not see that happen. I don't, none of our team saw it happen, because I promise you if we would have seen that happen, we would have had her back. Unfortunately, this type of shit happens every single game to her, and the league and the refs do absolutely nothing about it.
Let's talk about what Sophie Cunningham actually after the dust settled, because she didn't send a tweet and move on. She pulled up her podcast and unloaded everything, with names attached, no diplomatic cushioning, no carefully worded non-answers about how she respects the process. She named Alyssa Thomas directly. She named the refs directly, and she kept going.
Teed up, like they didn't review the foul on Caitlin last night, did they? I don't think they did.
Insane.
But that's clearly what makes its rounds on social media. When you got teed up, that's what makes its rounds on social media.
Yeah.
Does when CC does get kind of, I hate using the word bullied, but people are rough with her. There's no other way around it. Does that fuck with you guys as a team, or is that just an incident that becomes a much bigger deal on the internet than it does during real time?
Cunningham came out and stated flat out that the WNBA refs are either blind or corrupt, not as a question, not as a frustrated hypothetical, but as a plain statement, because from where she sat, watching what happened to Clark on June 24, she couldn't find another explanation for how 3 separate plays against the same player go uncalled in the same game. That's not one bad whistle, that's a pattern, and Cunningham called it exactly that.
This type of shit happens every single game to her, and the league and the refs do absolutely nothing about it.
It's been a minute since you got fined on this podcast.
I have, but then you see the videos of literally kneeing and cheap shotting C in the throat. If she did that to any of our teammates, we'd be pissed. But they're definitely targeting her, and the league and the refs do nothing to protect her.
And then she addressed what she would have done if she'd been on that floor and watched Thomas punch Clark in the throat in real time. Her answer left zero room for interpretation. Cunningham confirmed that she and her Mercury teammates didn't see the throat strike as it happened, but she didn't let that create any distance from her position. I promise you, she said, if we would have seen that happen, we would have had her back. No hedging, no softening. Just a direct promise from someone who means it.
The poster that they dropped last night, the 30-year commemorative thing, which that you're on it, that's cool.
Why would you ever put me on it?
But people are up in arms that Caitlin's not on it. And then also watching her get kind of her ass kicked last night, I do see everyone being why does the league not protect this person? I don't want to get in beef with Kathy either, but it is she's jealous of her, or thinks that because she's a bigger face than her, or anyone the WNBA's had, that she won't give her the platform. It's so weird. It's so bizarre.
But Cunningham didn't stop with Thomas as an individual, and that's what separates her reaction from a standard player complaint. She went after the Phoenix Mercury as an organization, framing it as a game plan, not a personal decision by one player who got carried away. A Phoenix came into that game intending to get physical with Clark, and the refs let them operate that way from the opening minutes. Cunningham connected those two things and said so out loud.
It is a joke, and this is why Kathy in the WNBA is getting lit up on social media, because you are leaving out a generational, the best player to ever go through WNBA on this roster. Honestly, if they were smart, they would market the shit out of some of us. They don't.
Well, you're on.
They
here,
don't.
At least
I should never. That should be Caitlin. That should be Kelsey Mitchell. That should be Aaliyah Boston. Why are we putting random players on there? I'm one of them.
She also got into what she sees driving some of this, which is jealousy from veterans who've watched Clark come into the league and become the biggest name in it almost immediately. Cunningham described it as genuinely Bizarre, the idea that established players or even people inside the league's own structure would resent Clark's visibility so much that it shapes how they treat her. It is like she's jealous of her, Cunningham said. Talking about the resentment she sees, or like thinks that because she's a bigger face than her, or like anyone in the WNBA's had, that she like won't give her the platform. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. Active Fever players couldn't say any of that publicly without drawing a fine or a call from the league office, so they stayed measured. Cunningham didn't have that constraint, and she used the freedom completely. Her podcast episodes spread faster than the game footage itself, which tells you exactly how many people were already thinking what she just said out loud. And we're waiting for someone with actual credibility to say it. This isn't a new version of Sophie Cunningham. She didn't become Clark's defender the day she signed with Indiana. She was publicly backing Clark before they ever shared a locker room. When other veterans around the league were either staying quiet or going the opposite direction, and that context is what makes her podcast reaction land the way it did.
When you talk about the young girls that came in, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, rookie class, really hyping up the league coming from college to the WNBA, what has that done for you and the buzz of this entire league?
I think it's so positive. I really do. I think it's a fun time to be a part of the W. I truly believe that. I think the skill and the talent has always been there, but now it's just the viewership. And so I give a big old clap to the rookie class. I think that's a lot to deal with when you're at that age and you have that many eyes on you. But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to. But I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it. And I'm a huge fan, and I never say that. But I think it's fun what she's doing.
Before Cunningham joined the Fever, she was already on record talking Clark up in interviews and on social media, not in a vague, polite way, but specifically and directly, at a time when plenty of established players either ignored Clark's arrival or resented it. Cunningham saw what Clark was doing for the league's viewership and said so out loud. She also called out how bizarre it was that the league seemed reluctant to put Clark on promotional materials, including a 30th anniversary poster. Despite Clark being the biggest draw women's basketball had seen in years, Cunningham read that as the league actively trying to suppress Clark's visibility, and she didn't stay quiet about it.
Quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
So when Cunningham joined the Fever and became Clark's actual teammate, the support didn't stay verbal. It moved on to the court, and the JC Sheldon situation is the clearest example of what that looked like. In practice, Sheldon had a reputation for playing dirty, and eye-poking opponents was part of that reputation. When Sheldon matched up against Clark with Cunningham on the floor, Cunningham didn't just outplay her, she took the game directly at Sheldon in a way that sent a message to everyone watching, including Sheldon, about what the evening was going to cost her. Players around the league noticed that.
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
That's the thing about Cunningham's version of having someone's back. It's not a tweet or a podcast. Quote. It's a physical statement made in a game, against a player with a history of targeting Clark, where Cunningham made the consequences of that targeting very clear. Words are easy. What Cunningham did against Sheldon required actually being on the floor and choosing to go there, and that track record is exactly why her podcast reaction to June 24 carries real weight. She wasn't some fan account going off after watching highlights. She wasn't a pundit without any skin in it. She'd been defending Clark publicly since before the Fever were even taken seriously as a contender. Back when backing Clark wasn't the popular or politically safe position inside the league. She'd been doing it on the court against players who tested Clark physically. And she'd called out the league's own reluctance to put Clark front and center, which put her directly against the internal resentment narrative that was running through the veteran side of the league. Thomas punched Clark in the throat on June 24th, and the loudest response came from the one player who'd already spent years making her position on this completely clear. How many times can one player foul the same person in one game and walk away with 0 calls? Because on June 24th, Alyssa Thomas found out the answer is at least 3, and that's before you count the separate reckless closeout that didn't even make it into the post-game review.
streaking to the basket. And here's what hustle plays are all about. You got 3 Phoenix players around Caitlin Clark, and yeah, it's.
I mean, Caitlin to the ground, and ooh, that's a hand to the neck, and then Alyssa Thomas steps over. See, that's the kind of stuff that can incite some future trouble.
Let's talk about the sequence, because the order matters here. Thomas doesn't commit one bad play and disappear into the game. She comes back, the throat strike lands first, with 6 minutes and 52 seconds left in the second quarter. Thomas's arm connects with Clark's neck, and the league's own post-game language described it as recklessly. Making contact with her fist to the throat area, her fist to the throat, the refs are standing right there. And not one whistle comes out, then comes the knee to the groin. Clark's already absorbing the previous contact. And Thomas drives a knee into her, again, the refs watch it happen in real time, and again, nothing gets called. Then Thomas steps over Clark, and that's the part that stops being accidental and starts being a statement. You don't step over someone by accident. That's a decision, a deliberate one, and the officials let it go without.